Welcome to this deep dive.
Oh.
And we're going to explore the psychology of money.
Okay.
Not just like the number crunching part, but the why behind how we make choices with money.
Right.
And the guide we're using is The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. And this book is, it's really packed with these eye-opening insights about how our minds work when it comes to finances.
Right.
So be prepared for some interesting connections here.
Absolutely.
We're going to be talking about everything from why people buy lottery tickets to how like fevers might actually make you a better investor.
Well, what's so fascinating about this field is that it really does go beyond the spreadsheets and formulas.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It delves into the emotions and the biases.
Right.
And even the little stories we tell ourselves that shape our relationship with money.
Yeah, right from the start, Housel throws us a curveball with this story about a tech genius who made millions in his 20s.
Oh, wow.
By designing a key component for Wi-Fi routers, the things that basically make the internet work, right?
Wow. Yeah.
But here's the kicker.
Okay.
He was terrible with his own finances.
Oh, no.
Impulsive, flashy, making decisions that everyone around him was just like,
oh, geez.
shaking their heads at.
So even someone who basically helped invent part of the internet can be bad with money.
Yeah.
That's honestly kind of reassuring in a weird way.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it proves you don't have to be a genius to be good with money or have some secret formula.
It's about understanding your own psychology.
Yeah.
And the often hidden forces that drive our decisions about money.
Right.
Think about it, listener.
Yeah.
Have you ever made a financial decision based purely on emotion rather than logic?
Oh, yeah.
I know I have.
All the time.
Me too. This book shines a light on those patterns.
Right.
So we can start making more intentional choices.
Okay, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
But then, you know, he hits us with this idea that our individual money history shapes our decisions.
Right.
Like, how does that even work?
Well, think about it.
Yeah.
Our experiences with money, especially during those early years, really leave a lasting impression on how we perceive financial risk and reward.
Got it.
Take someone who lived through the high inflation of the 1970s, for example.
Okay, yeah.
They might view bonds with extreme caution, seeing them as potential like wealth incinerators.
Oh,
You know?
right.
On the flip side, someone who grew up with stable prices might see bonds as a safe haven, a steady source of income.
Sure.
Neither perspective is inherently right or wrong.
Right.
It's about understanding where those beliefs come from and how they might be unconsciously influencing your choices.
So it's like our financial worldview is kind of like a fingerprint.
It is.
It's totally unique based on your experience.
Exactly, it is.
Okay.
And that's why it's so important to become aware of those deeply ingrained beliefs.
Got it.
It's like uncovering the hidden code that drives your financial decisions.
Okay. Now, one of the most thought-provoking examples in the book for me is the lottery ticket paradox.
Oh, yeah.
Why do people, especially those who might be struggling financially, spend money they desperately need on lottery tickets?
Yeah.
I mean, the odds of winning are astronomically small.
Well, it's about hope, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the feeling that maybe, just maybe, they can beat the odds and escape their circumstances. Some people might even feel like the system is rigged against them, you know?
Yeah.
So why not take a chance, even if it seems irrational?
Right.
From a purely financial perspective. Have you ever felt that way, listener?
Oh, for sure.
Where logic goes out the window.
Oh, yeah.
And hope takes the wheel.
Definitely. I think we've all been there at some point.
Yeah.
It's like those times when you know you should be saving money.
Right.
But you just find yourself splurging on something you don't really need.
Exactly.
Emotion over logic, it gets us every time.
It does. And that's why understanding the emotional logic behind those choices is so crucial.
Okay.
It allows us to approach our finances with more self-awareness and compassion.
Right.
We're not robots after all. We're humans.
Yeah.
With complex emotions and experiences that influence our decisions.
Okay, so that leads us to another big topic.
Okay.
Retirement savings.
Yeah.
You know, I think most people agree that it's important, but Housel really challenges this assumption that we should all just instinctively be good at it.
Right.
Why is that?
Well, he points out that the concept of individual retirement savings is actually a relatively recent phenomenon.
Really?
Think about it. 401ks,
Yeah.
which are now like such a cornerstone of retirement planning,
Yeah, for sure.
didn't even become widespread until the 1980s.
Wow, I never realized that.
Yeah.
It really reframes the whole idea.
Right.
It's not something we're necessarily supposed to know how to do.
Right.
It's a skill we need to actively cultivate.
It is, exactly. It's about adapting to this relatively new financial landscape and not beating ourselves up for not being naturally good at something that our grandparents might not have even had access to.
Right. Okay, now let's talk about Bill Gates.
Okay.
You know, everyone knows the story. Brilliant guy, drops out of Harvard, starts Microsoft, becomes one of the richest people on the planet.
Yep.
Easy to just attribute all his success to talent and drive.
Right.
It's tempting to see it that way.
Yeah.
But Housel does a brilliant job of highlighting the often overlooked role of luck in Gates's journey. Take his enrollment in Lakeside School, for instance. This was a private school back in the late 1960s.
Right.
And at the time, they had access to a computer lab, a resource that was incredibly rare back then.
Oh, wow.
This early exposure to computing played a crucial role in shaping his path.
Yeah.
He was a lucky break that most kids simply wouldn't have had.
So you're saying that even with all of his talent?
Yeah. And ambition, a huge part of his success came down to just being in the right place at the right time.
Imagine if he hadn't gone to Lakeside. Would Microsoft even exist? It's a question that forces us to consider the role of chance and circumstance.
Right.
In even the most extraordinary success stories.
Yeah.
It makes you realize that even with hard work and talent, sometimes luck gives you that extra push you need.
Right.
It's a good reminder to stay humble and acknowledge that sometimes things are just outside of our control.
It's a good reminder to stay humble.
It is.
Yeah.
And it leads us to a really crucial concept that Housel explores in depth.
Okay.
The close relationship between risk and luck.
Okay.
They often look so similar, making it hard to tell if success or failure is truly deserved or just a roll of the dice.
Okay, that's interesting.
He uses the example of Cornelius Vanderbilt,
the
railroad tycoon, who was notorious for breaking the law to build his empire.
Right.
His willingness to take risks is often seen as the key to his success. But what if he had been caught?
Yeah.
What if things hadn't gone his way?
Right. What if?
His story could have easily ended in ruin instead of fortune.
Wow.
It's a reminder that the line between bold and reckless can be incredibly thin.
Yeah.
And what looks like genius business acumen in hindsight might just be a lucky streak.
So he was just lucky.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
He also talks about John D. Rockefeller.
Right.
Another legendary figure who often skirted regulations to get ahead.
Right.
His actions are often praised as shrewd business tactics, but they were also incredibly risky.
So when does that narrative shift?
Exactly.
From like bold entrepreneur to criminal, right?
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The answer often depends on the outcome.
Right.
Not the actions themselves.
So how can we learn from success and failure when it's so intertwined with luck?
Housel suggests looking for broad patterns.
Yeah.
Rather than getting caught up in individual stories.
Okay.
The more common a pattern is, the more likely it is to reveal valuable insights that we can apply to our own financial lives.
That makes sense.
It's about recognizing that even the most successful people have benefited from luck along the way. And we shouldn't beat ourselves up when things don't go perfectly according to plan.
It's not always black and white.
It's not.
Yeah.
And there's always more to the story than meets the eye.
So focus on what we can control.
Exactly.
Our own choices, our behavior, and how we react to those inevitable moments of good luck or bad luck.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's about taking responsibility for our financial decisions.
Yeah.
While recognizing that we don't operate in a vacuum. There's a whole web of circumstances, some within our control and some completely outside of it, that shape our financial outcomes.
This is making me rethink how I view both success and failure. It's not as black and white as it seems.
It's not.
And there's always more to the story than meets the eye.
That's a great takeaway. And it brings us to a fascinating concept that Housel illustrates using a seemingly unrelated topic. Card counting in blackjack.
Card counting, Vegas.
Now, you might be wondering what card counting in Vegas has to do with managing our money.
I am a little curious about that, to be honest. I'm not exactly a high roller myself, so how does this all connect?
Well, even the most skilled card counters, the ones who are tilting the odds in their favor, they know they can't predict every hand. They know they'll hit losing streaks. It's inevitable. And they adjust their bets accordingly.
Okay.
They factor in that margin for error, that element of chance, and manage their bankroll to survive those inevitable downswings.
Okay, so it's like they're playing the long game, right?
Exactly.
Knowing that there will be bumps along the way.
Yeah.
But having a strategy to weather the storm.
Exactly.
Okay.
And this principle applies directly to our personal finances. We need to build in buffers.
Right.
Flexibility. That margin of safety into our financial plans.
Because life, much like a blackjack table,
exactly,
is full of surprises.
It is.
Job losses, medical emergencies, unexpected expenses.
Yes.
It's all part of the game.
And having that cushion, that room for error, ensures that we can keep playing the game.
Okay.
Even when things don't go according to plan, we can weather the storm and come out stronger on the other side.
So it's not just about having a plan.
Right.
It's about having a plan that can adapt to those unexpected things that pop up.
Think of it as having a financial shock absorber.
Okay.
When you hit a bump in the road, it cushions the impact and keeps you moving forward.
Right.
It's the difference between being derailed by a setback and being able to bounce back.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
All right.
Now let's talk about savings.
Oh.
It's one of those things that everyone knows they should be doing, but sometimes it's easier said than done.
It can be.
Right.
Especially in a world that constantly encourages us to spend and consume.
Right.
But Housel really reframes how we think about savings.
Okay.
He emphasizes that it's not just about accumulating wealth.
Right.
It's about creating freedom and optionality in your life.
That's an interesting way to look at it. So it's not just about the money itself.
It's not.
It's about what that money allows you to do.
Think of it this way.
Okay.
Every dollar you save is a dollar you're buying back control of your time.
Oh, I like that.
And your choices.
Yeah.
It's a dollar that gives you the freedom to walk away from a job you hate.
Yeah.
Start that business you've always dreamed of.
Right.
Or take that trip of a lifetime without stressing about the financial implications.
It's like you're investing in your future self.
Exactly.
By giving them more options and less stress.
Exactly.
I love that.
And what's great about savings is that, unlike investments, the return is guaranteed.
Oh.
It's entirely within your control.
Okay.
You decide how much to save.
Right.
And you get that peace of mind knowing you have a cushion to fall back on.
Okay, so savings equals freedom and peace of mind.
It does.
I'm sold.
All right.
Now let's talk about the big H.
Yeah.
Happiness.
Yeah.
I think most people would agree that money and happiness are connected somehow.
Definitely.
But it's a complicated relationship. Right?
It is a complex relationship.
Yeah.
Housel argues that money's true value lies in its ability to give us more control over our time and choices.
Right.
It's not about buying fancy stuff.
Right.
It's about buying back your freedom.
Okay.
He shares a story about his time as an investment banking intern.
Yeah.
You know, those high-paying, high-stress jobs?
Yeah.
And how disillusioning it was.
Oh, really?
The big salary came at a cost.
Of course. Yeah.
Long hours, constant demands.
Right.
Very little time for anything else.
Right. It's the classic trade-off.
It is.
More money, less time.
Yep.
Less money, more time.
Exactly.
Finding that balance is tough.
And it highlights this interesting paradox of modern wealth.
Okay.
As we've become richer as a society,
right,
we've often traded control over our time for bigger houses, fancier cars,
right,
and more material possessions.
Yeah, we're constantly striving for more, but at what cost?
It's like we're on this treadmill.
Yeah.
Constantly running, but not really going anywhere.
Exactly.
Housel challenges us to redefine what wealth truly means.
Oh, okay.
It's not about keeping up with the Joneses.
Right.
It's about having the financial security and freedom to make choices that align with your values and priorities.
That's a really powerful way to think about it.
It is.
Yeah.
He brings up the example of Rihanna.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the singer.
Yeah.
Incredibly successful.
Right.
But she nearly went bankrupt.
Oh, wow.
Despite her lavish lifestyle.
So it's more than just how much money you're bringing in.
It is.
Yeah, it's about how you manage it.
It is. It's about delaying gratification.
Okay.
Resisting the urge to show off your wealth.
Right.
And building a solid foundation for long-term financial well-being.
So wealth isn't about flashy cars and designer clothes.
It's not about the stuff.
It's about
the freedom.
Freedom to live a life on your own terms.
Exactly.
I love that.
And here's a concept that might surprise you.
Okay.
Housel argues for the power of pessimism.
Pessimism?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm usually all about looking on the bright side.
I understand.
So how can being pessimistic be helpful when it comes to money?
Well, think about the lead up to the 2008 financial crisis.
Okay.
There was this widespread optimism, almost a blind faith,
Right.
that housing prices would continue to rise forever.
Right.
People ignored the warning signs.
Oh, yeah.
And when the bubble burst, the consequences were devastating.
So a little bit of healthy skepticism could have saved a lot of people.
It could have.
A lot of heartache.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Housel argues that acknowledging potential downsides,
Okay.
planning for worst-case scenarios,
Right.
even embracing a bit of pessimism, can help us avoid catastrophic losses
Right.
and build more resilient financial plans.
So it's like having a backup plan.
It is.
Right. If everything goes smoothly, great.
Yep.
But if things go south, at least you're prepared.
It's about having that safety net, that plan B.
Right.
So you don't panic and make rash decisions when things get tough.
Right. So be prepared.
Be prepared.
Not paranoid.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, this next concept is fascinating to me.
Okay.
Housel talks about the role of narratives
Okay.
in shaping our financial decisions.
Narratives.
He uses this great thought experiment to illustrate his point.
Yeah.
Imagine an alien visiting Earth in 2007
Okay.
and then again in 2009.
Okay. So like before and after the financial crisis.
The alien observes that the tangible economy, buildings, factories, infrastructure,
Yeah.
all of that remained largely unchanged.
Okay.
But something was drastically different.
What's
People were significantly poorer
okay?
and much more pessimistic.
So what changed? The buildings were still there?
They were.
Or the factories were still there?
Yeah.
What was different?
The story they were telling themselves about the economy.
Okay.
In 2007,
Yeah.
the narrative was all about stability, growth, and prosperity.
Right.
But by 2009, that story had completely unraveled.
Yeah. Right.
The financial crisis shattered that illusion of stability,
Right. Yeah.
triggering a cascade of negative consequences.
So it wasn't just the actual economic conditions that changed, but the perception of those conditions, the story people were telling themselves.
It's a powerful reminder that our financial decisions are influenced not only by cold, hard facts,
Right.
but also by our emotions, our beliefs, and the stories we tell ourselves about the world.
It's like even if the underlying reality hasn't changed that much,
Yeah.
our perception of that reality can have a huge impact on our behavior and even on the economy as a whole. That's wild. It really shows how powerful narratives can be, how they can shape our reality.
Yeah.
Even when the underlying facts haven't changed all that much.
Right.
It makes you wonder, what stories are we telling ourselves now that might be influencing our financial decisions?
And that brings us to Housel's final point.
Okay.
Embrace your inner storyteller.
Embrace your inner storyteller.
It's about recognizing that we all have a financial narrative,
Right.
a story we tell ourselves about our relationship with money.
So it's like that inner voice, right?
Yeah.
That's always chattering away, telling us whether we're good or bad with money,
Right.
whether we deserve to be wealthy,
Yeah.
or whether we're destined to struggle financially.
That voice can be incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
And it's often shaped by our past experiences,
Right?
the messages we received about money growing up, and even societal norms.
Yeah.
It can lead us to make decisions that aren't truly in our best interests.
I've definitely caught myself thinking, oh, I'm just not good with money.
Yeah.
Or investing is too risky for someone like me.
Right.
It's like I've already written the ending to my financial story without even realizing.
So those limiting beliefs can be incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
But the good news is that we can rewrite the script.
Okay. How do we do that?
We can challenge those negative narratives
All right.
and create a new story.
Right.
One that empowers us to make sound decisions
Right.
and achieve our financial goals.
So it's about taking control of that inner dialogue.
It is.
Making sure it's working for us, not against us.
Exactly. It's about being mindful of the stories we're telling ourselves.
Okay.
And making sure they're aligned with our values, our goals,
Right.
and the reality of our financial situation.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation.
Yes.
As we wrap up our deep dive into the psychology of money, I'm curious, how do you apply these principles in your own life?
For me, it's all about long-term thinking and embracing simplicity.
Okay.
I've learned to be patient, to let compounding work its magic,
Yeah.
and to avoid the temptation to chase short-term gains.
Okay.
I'm a big believer in index fund investing.
Yeah.
It's a low-cost, diversified approach that
Yeah.
takes the emotion out of decision-making.
I love that. For me, it's about prioritizing financial independence and building a portfolio that allows me to sleep well at night.
Yeah.
It's about aligning my investments with my values.
Right.
And making choices that create a sense of freedom and flexibility in my life.
Those are fantastic principles to live by.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks to the core of what Housel's trying to convey.
Okay.
There's no one-size-fits-all approach to personal finance.
Right.
It's about understanding your own psychology, your values and your goals, and making choices that fit your unique financial narrative.
So to our listener, as you continue your own financial journey, we leave you with this final thought-provoking question.
Right. What story are you telling yourself about your finances? Is it helping you achieve your goals, or is it holding you back?
Take some time to reflect on your financial narrative.
Yeah.
Challenge any limiting beliefs that might be lurking in the shadows.
Right.
And start writing a new story, one that empowers you to make sound financial decisions and build a future filled with abundance and purpose.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Absolutely.
We'll catch you next time for another fascinating exploration.